You think I'm the one who did it? You really think I'd steal from my own company after everything we've built?" The sharpness of Jordan's voice cut through the tension in the air. The CEO, Rebecca Novak, stood there, cold eyes fixed on him, not saying a word. Behind them, the city skyline gleamed, a stark contrast to the storm that raged in the room. The truth was simple yet complicated. The $2.1 billion was gone. And somehow everyone was convinced Jordan was the one who took it. Jordan stood frozen, his heart pounding in his chest. The meeting had started with potential, a breakthrough project that could redefine the company's future. But now, here he was, a few feet away from Rebecca Novak, the CEO of one of the largest tech conglomerates in the world, his future hanging by a thread. It wasn't just any meeting. It was the one that would shape his career, the one that would prove he was more than just another employee in the system. But when Rebecca refused to shake his hand, everything shifted. He tried to keep his cool, his eyes darting between Rebecca and the others in the room. He could feel the weight of their gazes, judgment already setting in. He had worked so hard for this moment. He'd earned it. But now he was the suspect in the biggest financial scandal the company had ever seen. The refusal wasn't just a snub. It was a message. And Jordan wasn't sure if he was ready to understand it. Earlier that evening, the gala had been the highlight of the year for the company. The rooftop venue was a glittering spectacle, the kind of place where deals were made, friendships formed, and futures sealed. Investors, executives, and the media had all gathered under the bright lights of downtown San Francisco, the city's towering skyscrapers towering like silent witnesses to the event. Jordan had arrived early, dressed in a sharp, tailored suit that felt more like armor than attire. He knew the stakes. He knew that tonight he had to prove himself to the people who mattered most. His whole career had been building up to this moment, a chance to impress Rebecca Novak herself. At the event, the drinks flowed, and the conversations were smooth. But there was an edge to it all, the unspoken tension of big decisions, bigger egos, and the promise of something life-changing. Jordan's team had been working on a project that could triple the company's stock value. It was ambitious, risky, but it was exactly the kind of thing that could get him noticed. When Rebecca approached him, it had felt like a dream. She was a legend, one of the most powerful women in the industry. The way people reacted to her, the way she commanded a room, was something Jordan had only ever read about. They exchanged pleasantries. Her smile was warm, her eyes sharp. Jordan had told her about the project, the one he had worked on for over a year. He was so close to closing the deal. He could feel the weight of it, the momentum building. He thought for sure this was his moment. But then, Rebecca's expression shifted. Her smile faltered. "I'm not sure, Jordan," she said, her voice low, the calm before a storm. "I don't think this is the right direction." The words hit Jordan like a punch. The project, the one that he had poured everything into, the one that everyone said would change the company's future. Now it was nothing. His stomach dropped, but he couldn't show it. He had to stay professional. "I think it's the right direction," he replied, trying to steady his voice. "This could be what takes us to the next level." Rebecca didn't respond immediately. She just looked at him with that unreadable expression. Then, as if to finish the conversation, she turned her back to him and walked away. No handshake, no acknowledgement. Jordan stood there, frozen for a moment. His colleagues were already moving on, pretending nothing had happened, but for him, everything had shifted. The weight of that snub was heavier than anything he had expected. He tried to brush it off. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe she just didn't believe in the project. But there was something in the way she looked at him. Something that made him wonder if this wasn't just about business. The next morning, Jordan woke up to chaos. His phone buzzed incessantly. Text messages, emails, calls. He grabbed it off the nightstand, his heart already racing. The first message that popped up was from his manager. "What did you do?" Confused, he clicked through to the news. His blood ran cold. The company's accounts had been hacked. $2.1 billion vanished overnight. Felt surreal. It had to be a mistake. How could this happen? His mind raced. The first thing he did was check his own accounts. No strange withdrawals. No red flags. But the more he read, the clearer it became. Jordan was implicated. The news stories were everywhere. Whispers about corporate sabotage. Allegations that someone inside had stolen the money. And the timing was too perfect. The company's biggest financial loss ever. And it happened right after Jordan's critical meeting with Rebecca Novak. The same Rebecca who had just refused to shake his hand. His phone buzzed again. It was a message from his best friend, Nathan. You good? The rumors are going crazy. They're saying you were in the meeting last night. Did you have anything to do with this? Jordan's pulse quickened. Nathan wasn't the kind of friend to ask those questions, not unless he knew something was off. Was he the only one who didn't believe it? But Jordan didn't have time to wonder about that. His phone lit up again. A call from HR. Jordan. The voice on the other end was flat. We need you in the office. Now. Jordan stepped into the office an hour later, feeling the weight of eyes on him. His stomach twisted as he walked past rows of employees, all of them whispering behind his back. His reputation, everything he had worked for, was crumbling. When he entered the conference room, Rebecca was already there. She didn't look up when he walked in, but the others in the room did. The silence was thick, filled with accusations that didn't need to be spoken. Jordan. Rebecca's voice finally broke through. Do you want to explain what happened? Or should I? Jordan could feel the heat rising in his chest. His hands clenched at his sides, and for a moment, he wasn't sure if he could hold it together. His mind raced. He had to clear his name. He had to show them he didn't steal that money. But Rebecca's refusal, that cold, calculating look she had given him last night, it all came back to him. There was something bigger here, something he couldn't see yet, but he felt it. He was being set up. Jordan's future was on the line. And as Rebecca stared him down across the conference table, he knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just about money. It was personal. Jordan sat in the conference room, his palms sweating as the eyes of his colleagues bore into him. The walls seemed to close in, the air growing thick with the weight of suspicion. The room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioning, the kind of silence that made every breath feel like a shout. His mind raced, trying to make sense of what was happening. Rebecca sat at the head of the table, arms folded, her expression unreadable. Around her, the senior executives and legal team stared at Jordan like he was already guilty. No one was asking questions anymore. Everyone was just waiting for him to crack. Jordan. Rebecca's voice was cold, calculated. You were the last one to meet with me last night. The timing is too perfect. He could feel his heartbeat hammering in his chest. His mouth went dry. I didn't do this, Jordan replied, his voice steady, though inside he was panicking. You know I didn't. Rebecca's gaze didn't waver. Then why were you the only one who had access to the system last night? Jordan swallowed hard. That wasn't true. He had no access to the financial systems. Someone must have planted that information. He was sure of it. I'm telling you, Jordan continued, his voice tight. I didn't steal anything. You've got to believe me. A murmur went through the room, but no one spoke up. He could feel the eyes on him, a mixture of doubt and judgment. They weren't just questioning his integrity. They were starting to believe the worst. His stomach twisted with frustration. Rebecca, I don't know what's going on here, but this is a setup, Jordan said, his voice rising now. I don't know how or who, but you have to believe me. I swear I'm innocent. Rebecca's lips curved into a thin smile, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I'm sorry, Jordan, but the facts don't lie. The transfer was made from your terminal. The money's gone, and it's your responsibility to explain how. It was like a punch to the gut. The blood drained from his face. The transfer. His terminal. He hadn't even touched the system. What was she talking about? I didn't do this, Jordan insisted, feeling the walls closing in even tighter. This doesn't make sense. You've got to look deeper. Someone's framing me. Rebecca's eyes hardened. You don't understand the gravity of this, Jordan. People's livelihoods are on the line. Your little innocence isn't going to fix this. Jordan's breath caught in his throat. She wasn't even looking at him anymore. She was looking past him, out the window, as if she had already written him off. "You need to leave," she said, her voice now completely detached. "We'll contact you with the next steps." As Jordan left the room, the weight of the words hung over him like a dark cloud. "We'll contact you with the next steps." The next steps. What did that even mean? Was he about to be fired? Arrested? His mind was spinning. Outside the conference room, he walked down the long hallway, trying to gather his thoughts. The once familiar faces of his colleagues were now strangers, their whispers following him like shadows. No one stopped to talk to him. No one tried to offer support. In a company this big, you were either valuable or disposable, and right now Jordan was firmly in the second category. He reached the elevator, pressing the button with trembling fingers. His reflection in the glass doors stared back at him, but it wasn't the face he recognized. The man in the reflection looked defeated, lost, like someone who had given up even before the battle had started. When the elevator doors opened, he stepped inside and pressed the button for the ground floor. The ride was slow, almost too slow, and for the first time in a long while, Jordan felt the full weight of what was happening. His career, his future, everything he had worked for, it was all slipping away. The thought of the $2.1 billion vanishing into thin air felt like a cruel joke. He tried to focus, tried to think of some way to explain what had happened, but nothing made sense. Everything he thought he knew about the company, about Rebecca, about his place here, it was all crumbling. As the elevator doors opened to the lobby, Jordan spotted a familiar face. It was Nathan, his closest friend at the company. Nathan was waiting by the front desk, his brow furrowed with concern. He rushed over as soon as he saw Jordan. "Hey, man," Nathan said, his voice low, almost like he was afraid of being overheard. "What's going on? The news is everywhere. They're saying you're involved in this mess." Jordan's chest tightened. "I didn't do it, Nate. You have to believe me. I swear." Nathan glanced around, checking to make sure no one was listening. "I believe you, but everyone else? They're buying into the story. Everyone's on Rebecca's side." Jordan shook his head, the frustration bubbling up again. "It doesn't make sense. I didn't touch any system. I didn't transfer anything. Someone's framing me." Nathan looked at him for a long moment, like he was weighing his options. Finally, he spoke, his voice quiet but firm. "You need to dig deeper. Find out who really did this, because it's not just you they're after. There's something bigger going on here, Jordan. Something doesn't add up." Jordan felt a chill go down his spine. Nathan was right. This wasn't just about the money. It was about something else. Something darker. "I'm going to find out who did this," Jordan said, his voice determined. "I won't stop until I do." Later that evening, Jordan found himself back at his apartment, staring at his phone screen. The messages from his coworkers, from Nathan, from the media were flooding in. But it was one message that caught his eye. A single text from an unknown number. "You're not the only one with a secret." The message sent a cold shiver through him. His finger hovered over the screen as he reread the words, the hairs on the back of his neck standing up. Who was this? And what did they know? His thoughts raced. This could be the break he needed. This was someone who knew something, someone who had the answers. Before he could respond, his phone buzzed again, this time with a call. The caller ID said it was Nathan. Jordan answered quickly. "Nathan, did you send that message?" "No, man." Nathan's voice was urgent. "I didn't send anything, but I've got something. Meet me at the usual place. It's important." Jordan's pulse quickened. He grabbed his coat and rushed out the door. There was something bigger at play here, and he was going to find out what. Jordan had no idea what he was about to uncover, but one thing was clear. The game had just changed, and if he didn't act fast, the truth would slip through his fingers. Jordan's heart pounded in his chest as he pulled up to the small diner where he'd arranged to meet Nathan. The neon sign flickered, buzzing softly in the night. The parking lot was mostly empty, save for a few old cars parked under dim streetlights. It was the kind of place where people came to talk, no fancy suits or big money deals. Just two friends, trying to make sense of a mess they couldn't fully understand. He parked and rushed inside. The warm air smelled of coffee and grilled bacon, and the soft murmur of low conversations filled the space. Nathan was already sitting in a booth near the back, his eyes scanning the room nervously. He looked up as soon as Jordan slid into the seat across from him. "You look like hell," Nathan said, his voice low but concerned. Jordan let out a breath, trying to force a smile. "You don't look much better." Nathan ran a hand through his hair. "This is bad, man. I'm not just talking about the money. I'm talking about everything. People are already talking about you. It's not good." "I know," Jordan muttered, staring at the coffee cup in front of him. He hadn't touched it. "But I didn't do it. You've got to believe me." Nathan leaned forward, his eyes serious. "I believe you, Jordan. But everyone else? They're not so sure. You've got to prove your innocence before it's too late." Jordan's jaw clenched. The weight of the accusation, that he was somehow responsible for stealing $2.1 billion, felt like it was suffocating him. He had been accused of something he didn't do. The thought of losing everything he'd worked for, the career he'd built, made his stomach churn. "I'm trying," he said, his voice tight, "but no one is listening. Rebecca won't even talk to me. It's like I'm invisible to her." Nathan shook his head, eyes dark with frustration. "I'm telling you, there's something else going on here. You're not the only one getting caught in this mess. Whoever did this, they're setting you up. And I think they're using Rebecca to do it." Jordan's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean? You think she's involved?" Nathan hesitated, looking around the diner like he was making sure no one was listening. "I don't know, man. I don't have all the answers. But something's not adding up. Rebecca's always been tough, but this isn't like her. I've seen how she operates, and I don't know if I trust her anymore." Jordan leaned back, the weight of Nathan's words sinking in. He had always respected Rebecca, even admired her. She had been a mentor in some ways. But now, he couldn't help but wonder if there was more to her than he realized. If she really had something to do with the money disappearing. He shook his head. "I don't want to believe that. She's the one who hired me. She brought me into the fold. I can't imagine her doing something like this." Nathan's face was hard, but there was something in his eyes, a spark of doubt. "Maybe you're right, but the facts are stacking up against you, Jordan. The transfer came from your terminal. That's not a coincidence." Jordan's breath caught in his throat. The terminal, that was the part that didn't make sense. He had never even touched the system after the gala. He had no idea how the transfer happened. Whoever was behind this had covered their tracks well. "I didn't do it," Jordan said again, this time with more conviction. "But I need to find out who did. I can't just let this go." Nathan leaned back in the booth, his eyes watching Jordan closely. "You know what you have to do, but you can't go at this alone. People are watching you. The company, Rebecca, the media. If you're not careful, they'll bury you." Jordan's eyes narrowed. "Then I'll dig deeper. I'm not going to sit back and let them ruin my life." The next day, Jordan returned to the office. It was a strange feeling, walking through the halls of the company he had once been so proud to be a part of. The usual hum of busy workers and the click of high heels on the marble floors felt distant, like he was in a different world altogether. The stares he got from his colleagues as he walked past were uncomfortable, filled with judgment and suspicion. Every whisper, every sideways glance made him feel smaller. He had to ignore them. He couldn't let them break him down. Not now. He headed straight to his desk, trying to act normal. But there was nothing normal about the situation. Nothing normal about the financial records that were now under scrutiny. Nothing normal about the accusations flying around. As he opened his email, he froze. There, at the top of the inbox, was another message from the unknown number. "I know what you're doing. Stop digging." His pulse raced. He quickly opened the message, hoping for some clue, something that would help him understand who was behind this. But the words were simple, direct. "You're on the wrong path. Drop it or you'll regret it." Jordan stared at the screen for a moment, the words sinking in. Whoever was behind this wasn't just trying to steal money. They were trying to scare him, trying to shut him down before he uncovered the truth. But Jordan couldn't stop now. He wasn't going to back down. Not when everything he had worked for was on the line. Not when his reputation, his freedom, and his future were at stake. Later that day, Jordan snuck into the office after hours, determined to find any trace of the missing $2.1 billion. He knew the risks, the cameras, the security guards, all the things that could go wrong. But he had to do it. If he didn't, he might never clear his name. He made his way to the server room, his mind racing. He knew he had to find some kind of evidence, anything that could prove he didn't transfer the money. The system logs, the backdoor entries. There had to be something. As he crouched down by the computer terminal, he heard footsteps echoing down the hallway. His heart stopped. He wasn't alone. Jordan froze, his breath shallow as he looked up. Through the glass windows, he could see a shadow moving toward the server room. Who was it? Was it someone sent to stop him? Or had he finally uncovered something they didn't want him to see? The door to the server room creaked as Jordan slowly pushed it open. His heart was hammering in his chest, each beat louder than the last. He had no idea who was walking toward him in the hallway, but it wasn't just the footsteps that sent a chill through his spine. It was the feeling of being watched. His instincts were screaming at him to run, but he couldn't. Not now. Not when he was so close to finding something, anything that would prove his innocence. He slipped inside, shutting the door as quietly as possible behind him. The room was dark except for the glow of the monitors and the soft hum of machinery. The air smelled faintly of metal and dust. His eyes scanned the rows of servers. He didn't have much time. He quickly approached the terminal, his hands shaking slightly as he tried to calm himself. He needed to pull the logs, check the system entries, and figure out what happened the night the money disappeared. But as he logged in, he heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps growing louder. Someone was definitely getting closer. His mind raced. Should he risk it and stay? Or was it too dangerous? He clicked on the system logs, fingers moving as fast as they could. But every second felt like an eternity. The last thing he wanted was to get caught in the act of accessing files that weren't his to touch. But there was no other choice. He needed answers. Suddenly, the door to the server room flung open, and there she stood, Rebecca Novak, her sharp eyes locking with his. She was dressed in black, the harsh fluorescent lights casting long shadows across her face. For a moment, neither of them moved. Jordan's breath hitched in his throat. What was she doing here? "I didn't expect you to be this bold, Jordan," Rebecca said coolly, stepping into the room with the kind of grace that only someone like her could pull off. The door clicked shut behind her. She was trapping him. "What are you doing here?" Jordan asked, trying to steady his voice. He wasn't sure if he was angry, scared, or both. Rebecca's eyes narrowed. "I could ask you the same thing. You're trespassing, Jordan. You're trying to access company files without permission." She took another step forward, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. "I'm just trying to figure out what happened." Jordan shot back, his voice low. "Someone's framing me. I didn't take the money." Rebecca's lips curled into a smile, but it wasn't a friendly one. "You know, Jordan, I've been watching you. Ever since that meeting a few days ago. Something about you has always seemed too eager, too ambitious. You think you're smarter than everyone else, don't you?" Jordan's stomach dropped. This wasn't the Rebecca he had come to know, the Rebecca he respected. This woman was cold, calculating. Her eyes gleamed with something dark, something he couldn't quite read. "I didn't do it," Jordan said again, stepping back slightly, trying to keep the distance between them. "You've got to believe me." Rebecca let out a sharp laugh, her eyes flicking to the monitor where the logs were still open. She seemed to study them for a second, as if deciding how much she wanted to reveal. "You're right about one thing," she said, her voice lowering. "You didn't do it." Jordan's chest tightened. "Wait, what?" He blinked, trying to process her words. "You didn't take the money," Rebecca repeated, her gaze never leaving him. "But you're not as innocent as you think you are." Jordan's confusion deepened. He took a hesitant step forward. "What do you mean? If I didn't take the money, then who did?" Rebecca stepped closer, her heels tapping on the floor. That's what you're going to find out, Jordan. But the question is, are you ready for the truth? Jordan's mind was spinning. This was all happening too fast. Too many questions were coming at him, but Rebecca wasn't giving him any answers. Just more layers of mystery. His thoughts were like a tangled mess. Nothing made sense anymore. What do you want from me? Jordan asked, frustration creeping into his voice. He didn't understand her game. He didn't know what she was after. Rebecca's smile faded, replaced with a look of icy resolve. I want you to stop digging, Jordan. There's more at play here than you realize. You've been too focused on the wrong things. If you keep pushing, you'll only make things worse. His eyes narrowed. What are you trying to say? That I should just walk away? Pretend this never happened? Rebecca stepped back slightly, her eyes scanning the room. You think you're the only one who's been betrayed here? You think you're the only one who's been left in the dark? There are forces at play that even I don't fully understand. But the more you dig, the more you'll put yourself in danger. And I won't be able to protect you if it goes too far. Jordan swallowed hard. The intensity in her voice, the warning in her eyes. It felt like a trap. But he didn't know who to trust anymore. The company? Rebecca? His own instincts were pulling him in different directions. You're saying it's bigger than just the money? Jordan asked, trying to process what she was implying. His pulse was racing again, but now it was fear, not anger, that gripped him. What is this? What's really going on here? Rebecca didn't answer immediately. She just stared at him, her expression unreadable. Then, she did something Jordan wasn't expecting. She looked away. I can't tell you everything, she said, her voice softening just slightly. But you're in too deep now, Jordan. If you don't pull back, you might not make it out alive. Jordan stood there, stunned, the weight of her words crashing down on him. Was this all just about money? Or was there something else at play? Something much bigger? He didn't know who to trust anymore, and the more he thought about Rebecca's warning, the more it felt like he was being pushed into a corner. Rebecca turned, her heels clicking sharply as she made her way to the door. Consider this your final warning. Walk away while you still can. She paused at the door, glancing back at him one last time. I won't be there to help you if you keep going. The door clicked shut behind her, leaving Jordan in the silence of the server room, his mind reeling. The pieces were starting to come together, but something didn't sit right. Jordan's heart raced as Rebecca's warning echoed in his mind. She had just given him a choice, walk away or face the consequences. But the more he thought about it, the more he knew he couldn't let it go. The truth was out there, and he was going to find it, no matter what it cost him. Jordan stepped into Rebecca's office, the door clicking shut behind him. The room felt colder than it had ever been, the silence between them thick and uncomfortable. Rebecca didn't look up from her desk, but Jordan could feel the weight of her presence. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. I didn't come here to fight, Rebecca, he said, his voice low. I just need the truth. All of it. Rebecca's eyes flickered up, her expression unreadable. There was a flicker of something, guilt, maybe, but it was gone in an instant, replaced by the familiar coolness she always wore like armor. The truth? She repeated, her voice soft but laced with a bitter edge. You think you're ready for the truth, Jordan? You think you know everything? Jordan clenched his fists, fighting back the frustration building in his chest. I know enough to know that something doesn't add up. You're involved in this. I need to understand why. Rebecca sighed, pushing her chair back and standing up slowly. You really don't get it, do you? She took a step toward him, her eyes never leaving his. This is bigger than you, bigger than me. There are forces at work here that you can't even begin to comprehend. Jordan took a step back, his heart racing. What are you talking about? Who's pulling the strings? Rebecca didn't answer immediately. She crossed her arms and stared at him, as if weighing whether she should speak or not. Then, finally, she spoke, her voice quieter now, almost as if she were speaking to herself. It wasn't supposed to go this far, Jordan, she said. I thought I could control it, keep it contained. But now it's all falling apart. She looked down at the floor, her expression softening for just a moment. I didn't mean for you to get caught in the middle of this. But you're too close now. I can't protect you anymore. Jordan's mind was racing. Protect me from what? What the hell is really going on? Rebecca's face tightened again, her guard going up. She took another step back, clearly uncomfortable. You've been asking the wrong questions. You've been looking at the wrong things. Then tell me, Jordan demanded, his voice rising. Tell me the truth. Rebecca hesitated, glancing at the door, as if she expected someone to burst in at any moment. The tension in the room was suffocating, and Jordan could feel it in every fiber of his being. He needed to know. He couldn't walk away until he had answers. Finally, Rebecca spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. You're right. It's an inside job. But not just any inside job, Jordan. This goes all the way to the top. To people you don't even know. People who have been controlling everything from the shadows. Jordan's breath caught in his throat. The top? What was she talking about? What does that mean? He asked, his voice a little hoarse. Rebecca looked up at him, her eyes dark, almost regretful. The $2.1 billion wasn't just a theft. It was a plan. A way to get rid of people like you, people who might get in the way, people who might expose the truth. Jordan felt like he had been punched in the stomach. His mind was spinning. They wanted to get rid of him? Why? What did they want from him? Who are these people? He asked, his voice shaking. Who's behind this? Rebecca shook her head. I can't tell you everything. I've said too much already. If you keep pushing, you'll be in deeper than you ever imagined. You're not ready for that, Jordan. Jordan felt a cold knot form in his stomach. The pieces were starting to fall into place, but they weren't coming together in any way he could understand. What do you mean? What happens if I keep going? Rebecca's face hardened again, the mask she wore snapping back into place. You'll disappear, Jordan. All of this, the company, the money, your career, it's all a part of a much bigger game. You're not just a pawn in this. You're the threat. And they'll do whatever it takes to keep their secrets buried. The room seemed to close in around him. His chest tightened, and for a moment he felt like he couldn't breathe. He had been so focused on the money, the stolen $2.1 billion, but now it was clear. This wasn't just about money. It was about power, control. And somehow he had become a part of it, whether he wanted to or not. Jordan took a step forward, his fists clenched, his frustration reaching its peak. I'm not backing down. I didn't do this. I'm not just going to let them destroy my life for something I didn't do. Rebecca's eyes flicked to his, a flicker of something dark flashing in her gaze. You don't understand. They will destroy you. You won't even see it coming. Jordan's heart pounded in his chest, but he wasn't going to let her scare him. He had come this far, and there was no turning back now. If I'm going down fighting. Rebecca didn't say anything. She just turned away, walking toward the window that overlooked the city skyline. Her back was to him now, but Jordan could still feel the weight of her words hanging in the air. I wish you hadn't come here, Jordan, she said softly, almost as if she were talking to herself. I wish you hadn't pushed so hard. Jordan stood frozen in place, the weight of her words sinking in. She wasn't just warning him anymore. She was telling him that this was bigger than he could handle. And still, a part of him refused to believe it. He refused to back down. He didn't know what would happen next. He didn't know who he could trust anymore. But one thing was certain. He wasn't going to stop until he found out who had set him up, and why. As he turned to leave, Jordan glanced back at Rebecca. Her face was hidden in the shadows, but he could still see the faint outline of her figure by the window. Something about the way she stood there made him feel like she wasn't just hiding from him. She was hiding from something much bigger than both of them. Jordan stepped out of her office and made his way to the elevator. He didn't know what the next step was, or how he would survive whatever came next. But he did know one thing. The truth was out there, and he was going to find it no matter the cost. As the elevator doors closed, Jordan's mind raced. He could feel the danger closing in around him, but something inside him refused to give up. Who were these people? What would they do to stop him from exposing the truth? The next few days felt like a blur. Jordan couldn't shake Rebecca's warning. The weight of her words pressed on him, and yet, he couldn't walk away. He couldn't let it go. Not when so many lives, including his own, were at stake. But each passing hour only made things worse. The news had spread like wildfire. Social media buzzed with rumors. The headlines splashed across every major business site. Billionaire's right-hand man accused of massive fraud. They were calling him everything from a thief to a corporate spy. It wasn't just the money. It was his career, his reputation, his whole future being ripped apart. Jordan had to find out who was behind this, no matter the cost. But as the days went on, the pressure mounted, and his search for answers started to feel like a game of cat and mouse. Whoever was orchestrating this had covered their tracks well. He kept running into dead ends. By the time Thursday afternoon rolled around, Jordan had spent hours in his office, combing through the files. His head throbbed. The weight of it all, the accusations, the betrayal, the uncertainty, was too much to carry alone. Just when he thought he couldn't take it anymore, his phone buzzed. He glanced down. It was Nathan. "I found something," the text read. "Meet me at the usual spot. It's bad." Jordan's heart skipped a beat. He shoved his phone into his pocket and grabbed his jacket. The last few days had been like walking through fog, trying to find his way, trying to see things clearly. But now Nathan was offering him a lifeline, a way out. Maybe, just maybe, this was the break he needed. The usual spot wasn't far from the office. A small, nondescript diner on the corner of a busy street. Jordan walked in, scanning the room for Nathan. He spotted him almost immediately, sitting in a booth in the back, his face serious as he stared down at his phone. Jordan slid into the seat across from him. "Hey," Jordan said, trying to sound calm, though his pulse was racing. "What did you find?" Nathan didn't immediately look up. He was typing something on his phone, his fingers moving fast, as if he were working against the clock. Finally, he put the phone down and met Jordan's gaze. "It's worse than I thought, man," Nathan said, his voice grim. "I looked deeper into the financial logs. Whoever did this, they covered their tracks, but there's a pattern I noticed." Jordan leaned forward. "What kind of pattern?" Nathan lowered his voice, glancing around the diner to make sure no one was listening. "I looked into some of the transfers. The money came from inside. Not just your terminal, but from a series of accounts linked to people inside the company." Jordan frowned. "Wait, you're saying this was an inside job?" Nathan nodded slowly. "Yeah, and it gets worse. The accounts that were used, they're linked to high-level execs. Some of them, including Rebecca's. I ran the numbers. She's been pulling money from those accounts for months. This whole thing might be a setup to frame you." Jordan felt like the ground had been ripped out from under him. "Rebecca? But I thought she was on my side. She hired me. She brought me into all of this." Nathan shook his head. "People aren't always who they seem, man. Especially when there's that much money on the line." Jordan felt a cold chill settle over him. He had trusted Rebecca. She had been the one person who had mentored him, believed in him when no one else did. To think she could be behind all of this, it didn't feel real. But the more Nathan talked, the more the pieces fell into place. "What do we do now?" Jordan asked, his voice barely a whisper. Nathan hesitated, his eyes darting around the diner again. "We go to the police. We expose the whole thing. But you need to be careful, Jordan. This could get ugly. The people behind this aren't going to just let you walk away." Jordan's mind raced. He knew Nathan was right. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about power, control, things bigger than he could imagine. And the more he learned, the more it became clear that Rebecca wasn't just a bystander. She was involved. And if he didn't act fast, the truth would slip away forever. "I can't just sit back," Jordan said, his voice shaking slightly. "I need to confront her. I need to find out what she's really been hiding." Nathan's eyes widened. "Are you crazy? Don't do it, man. You're not thinking straight. If you confront her now, it's over. She's got connections, Jordan. Powerful ones. You'll never be able to take her down alone." But Jordan was already standing up, his mind made up. I'm not letting her get away with this. If she's the one who's behind all of this, then I need to hear it from her. I need the truth. Nathan grabbed his arm, trying to stop him. Jordan, you're not thinking. But Jordan pulled away, his resolve firm. I'll be fine, Nathan. I have to do this. By the time Jordan reached the office building, the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was beautiful, almost peaceful, but Jordan didn't feel peaceful. His mind was racing, his heart pounding in his chest. He needed to talk to Rebecca. He needed answers. The security guard at the front desk looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion as he walked past. Jordan didn't care. He wasn't here to make small talk. He wasn't here to explain himself. He took the elevator to the top floor, his hands trembling as he pressed the button for the executive suite. When the doors opened, he stepped out, looking down the long hallway that led to Rebecca's office. Felt like walking toward the lion's den. He knocked on the door. No answer. He knocked again, louder this time. Still no answer. With a deep breath, Jordan turned the handle and stepped inside. Rebecca was sitting behind her desk, the soft glow of the desk lamp casting a shadow over her face. She didn't look up as he entered. "I've been waiting for you," she said, her voice cold, almost rehearsed. Jordan's heart skipped. She was expecting him. She already knew. Jordan felt a chill race down his spine. Rebecca wasn't surprised to see him. It was as if she had been waiting for this moment, the moment he would walk into her office and face the truth. But was he ready to hear it? And more importantly, was he prepared for what she was about to say? The weight of Rebecca's words pressed heavily on Jordan's chest, as though the air itself had thickened, making it hard to breathe. He had stepped into something far bigger than he could have ever imagined. The danger was no longer just a shadow on the horizon. It was here, closing in on him, suffocating him with every step he took. The elevator ride back to his floor felt like it stretched on forever, each moment filled with uncertainty and fear. He could feel his heart thumping louder than the hum of the elevator, a constant reminder that time was running out. But there was no turning back now. When the elevator doors opened, Jordan stepped into the hallway and made his way to his office. His hands were shaking, but he forced himself to stay calm. Stay focused, he told himself. You can't let fear win. As soon as he reached his desk, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Nathan. "Meet me at the usual spot. It's time." Jordan swallowed hard, his mind racing. He didn't know what Nathan meant by "it's time," but he knew that this was the moment. This was the time to make a choice. He grabbed his jacket and headed out of the office, trying to ignore the sense of dread that followed him like a shadow. The usual spot was a small, dimly lit cafe a few blocks away. Jordan arrived, his eyes scanning the room for Nathan. The place was nearly empty, the quiet hum of a few conversations and the clinking of coffee cups filling the air. He spotted Nathan in the back corner, sitting by himself, his eyes glued to the screen of his laptop. Jordan walked over and slid into the seat across from him. "You ready for this?" Nathan asked without looking up. Jordan's heart pounded in his chest. "I don't know. What happens now?" Nathan closed the laptop with a snap and finally looked up at Jordan, his face hard. "We go after the people who are behind all this. They've been pulling the strings, and they think they can control everything. But we're going to show them they can't." Jordan leaned forward, his breath shallow. "How? What do we do?" Nathan pushed a folder across the table toward him. "This is everything. The bank transfers, the meetings, the communications. The proof that this is all tied to the people in power. I've been digging for weeks, Jordan. It's all in here." Jordan opened the folder, his eyes scanning the papers in front of him. His pulse quickened as he read through the details. Names, dates, and numbers. The evidence was clear. The people behind this weren't just pulling strings in the corporate world. They were connected to the highest levels of government, to the financial institutions that controlled everything. Jordan felt his stomach twist with every new revelation. Nathan's voice broke through his thoughts. "You're not going to be able to take them down alone, Jordan. It's going to take more than just the two of us. We need allies." Jordan's mind was still spinning. He couldn't think straight. Everything was too big, too dangerous. How do we even trust anyone? How do we know who's on our side? Nathan met his gaze, his expression serious. We don't. But we don't have a choice anymore. Jordan clenched his fists, his knuckles white. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for any of this. But now I can't walk away. I won't let them get away with ruining my life. Nathan nodded, a faint hint of understanding in his eyes. I get it. But you need to understand something, Jordan. Once we do this, there's no turning back. You'll be marked. They'll come for you. Jordan's mind raced. Was Nathan right? Was this really the only way? Could he afford to go after the people behind this, knowing the risks? He stared at the papers in front of him, the weight of the decision settling on his shoulders like 1,000 pounds. But one thought kept repeating itself in his mind. This was bigger than money. This was about justice. He took a deep breath. I'm in. Let's do it. Nathan looked relieved, but there was something in his eyes that Jordan couldn't quite read. He wasn't just in this for justice. Nathan had his own reasons, his own agenda. But for now, they were on the same side. Hours later, they sat in a small, run-down office building on the edge of town, surrounded by old filing cabinets and stacks of paperwork. It wasn't much, but it was safe. For now, Jordan had never seen Nathan like this before. Focused, determined, and serious. The weight of the task ahead of them was clear in the way Nathan moved, the way he spoke. This was no longer just a fight to clear Jordan's name. This was about something far bigger than either of them. Nathan handed him a stack of papers. These are the key players, people who need to be exposed. Jordan flipped through the files, his eyes scanning the names and addresses. These weren't just ordinary people. These were the decision-makers, the ones who controlled everything, the ones who had built their empire on lies, on manipulation, on stealing from people like him. This is it, Jordan muttered, his fingers trembling as he turned the page. This is the proof we need. Nathan nodded. We can't do this alone. We need to bring these people down from the inside. And we need help from someone who can fight back. Jordan's mind flashed back to Rebecca's warning. They will destroy you. You won't even see it coming. She was right. If they were going to expose these people, they needed more than just the truth. They needed protection. Do you know anyone who can help us? Jordan asked, his voice low. Nathan hesitated, then spoke in a quiet voice. I know someone, but it's risky. If we involve them, there's no going back. We'll be marked for good. Jordan stared at him, a mix of fear and determination burning in his chest. He didn't have a choice. We're already marked, Nathan. Let's do it. As they gathered the final pieces of the plan, the tension in the room felt unbearable. Jordan could feel the stakes rising with every passing minute. The next move would be their most dangerous yet. There was no more room for doubt, no more room for fear. He wasn't going to back down. Not now. But as the plan began to take shape, one question lingered in the back of Jordan's mind. Who could they really trust? As they prepared to make their move, Jordan couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching them. Someone who knew exactly what they were planning. Was it possible they were walking right into a trap? And if they were, who would make it out alive? The city lights flickered like stars as Jordan stood on the rooftop, the wind tugging at his jacket. He had spent the last few days in hiding, watching, waiting. The plan was set, and he was about to make the most dangerous move of his life. But tonight, there was no turning back. Nathan had arranged everything. The right people were in place. The evidence was undeniable. They had everything they needed to bring down the men behind the conspiracy, the ones who thought they could control it all. They thought they were untouchable. But Jordan wasn't scared anymore. He was determined. There was no room for fear. He wasn't going to let them win. Not when the truth was within his grasp. Just then, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Nathan. It's time. Are you ready? Jordan looked out at the skyline one last time. This was it. He wasn't going to run anymore. He was going to expose everything. No more hiding. No more secrets. The meeting place was a small office downtown, hidden in plain sight. A building no one would pay attention to, but a place where power was brokered in silence, away from the public eye. Jordan had been here before, but this time was different. He wasn't just walking in to listen. He was walking in to take control. He stepped into the room where Nathan and the others had gathered. The atmosphere was tense, filled with the kind of anticipation you only feel when everything is on the line. Nathan greeted him with a quick nod, his eyes sharp with focus. "We're in position," he said quietly. "We'll get in, get the evidence out, and expose them." Jordan nodded, his jaw tight. He wasn't worried about the plan. He knew it would work. What scared him was the next step. What would happen after they exposed the truth? Who would still be left standing? "We don't stop until it's over," Jordan said. His voice was steady, but his heart was racing. It didn't take long. In less than an hour, the digital files were in their hands. The evidence was irrefutable. Jordan stared at the screens in front of him, the truth spilling out like a dam breaking. The names, the transactions, the lies. It was all there, and in that moment he knew they had won. But the feeling of victory didn't come with the rush of adrenaline he had expected. Instead, there was an overwhelming sense of relief, followed by a deep exhaustion. The truth had been exposed, but the weight of it all felt heavier than he ever imagined. Nathan clapped him on the back. "We did it. It's over." Jordan nodded, but his mind was still racing. It was over, but it wasn't the end. The real fight had just begun. Exposing the conspiracy would bring everything crashing down, but the fallout was just starting. The people they had taken down were powerful, dangerous. They wouldn't go down without a fight. Suddenly, Jordan's phone buzzed again. It was a text from Rebecca. "Meet me. We need to talk." His heart skipped. Was she part of the plan? Did she know what was going to happen? Had she been involved all along? Rebecca was waiting for him in a small cafe on the outskirts of the city. The soft glow of the overhead lights barely illuminated her face when Jordan walked in. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't even looking at him when he approached her table. "I didn't think you'd come," she said quietly, her voice calm but tense. Jordan took a seat, his eyes searching her face. "Why did you want to meet? What's going on?" Rebecca sighed, the weight of the moment heavy in her voice. "I owe you an apology, Jordan, for everything. I wasn't supposed to let things go this far, but I got caught up in it. I thought I was protecting you, but I wasn't. I was just protecting myself." Jordan felt a rush of anger, but he held it back. He wasn't here for a fight. He was here for the truth. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you warn me?" She met his gaze, her eyes filled with regret. "I never meant for you to get hurt, but the people involved, they were dangerous. I was just trying to survive. I thought if I stayed in the shadows, I could keep you safe." Jordan stared at her, the pieces finally coming together. "So you were part of it? You were working with them?" Rebecca shook her head. "No, I never wanted this. But I was trapped. We all were. The moment I brought you into this world, I knew it was dangerous. I knew you wouldn't be able to walk away, but I didn't want you to lose yourself in it." The truth hit Jordan like a punch to the gut. She had been playing both sides all along. She had brought him in because she cared about him, but also because she needed him. He wasn't just a pawn. He was a lifeline. "I don't know what to say," he muttered, looking down at the table. "I never thought it would come to this." Rebecca's voice softened. "I know, but what matters now is what you do with this. You've exposed them, Jordan. But the fight doesn't end here. You can't just walk away from it. Not now." Jordan's mind was spinning. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment everything would change. But now, more than ever, he wasn't sure what the right choice was. He had exposed the truth, but that didn't mean he knew how to fix everything. Rebecca reached out, placing a hand on his. "You've got the power now. You've got everything you need to make things right. But it's up to you to decide what happens next." Jordan looked up at her, a mix of gratitude and confusion in his eyes. "I don't know if I can do this alone." Rebecca smiled, though it was tinged with sadness. "You don't have to. You've already got people who believe in you. You just have to trust them." As Jordan walked out of the cafe, the weight of the world seemed to lift off his shoulders. The sky had darkened, and the stars twinkled brightly overhead. For the first time in a long while, he felt like he could breathe. The road ahead was still uncertain, but one thing was clear. He wasn't going to let fear control him anymore. He had the truth. He had the power to change everything. And as long as he had that, he could face whatever came next. The truth had come to light. But now, as Jordan looked out at the city below, he couldn't help but wonder, was this really the end? Or was the hardest part still to come? Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.